Hi. I wanted to talk for a couple minutes about the destructive power of shame and guilt. And I live in the United States, and Western culture is really good at this, at shaming. But writers and other creatives are particularly good at it. You know, the shaming that's, I should have done this and I didn't do it. And so I'm like worthless. I'll never be a writer because I said that I was going to write on Tuesday for 4 hours and I didn't. Or things that you did do that you feel guilty about, not necessarily about writing, but about anything. We just fill ourselves with shame and guilt. Our culture is kind of about that, it seems to me. And so I just want to ask you to please stop doing that. I have a little newsletter comes out Wednesday mornings. If you haven't signed up, I encourage you to do that. It's called Something to Consider. And I wrote a little while ago about the destructive power of comparing ourselves to other writers, comparing ourselves where we come out on the short end. So that here's this wonderful writer and I'll never be able to write like that. So why even bother? It's a waste of time. And how destructive that is to our creativity. And instead of just being delighted that we're reading a good writer, an effective, beautiful writer, and seeing how they did that and what we can learn from reading and studying that writer. And shame and guilt have the same negative effect on our productivity and our happiness. And so I guess I should be saying what you can do instead, but really all I have is just stop doing that. Stop. If you made a mistake, then recognize you made a mistake. If you need a schedule to be able to stay on track, then create a schedule and do your very best to stay on it. But if something happens, don't beat yourself up. You know, writing is supposed to be fun. It's hard work, definitely. But it's also, it's our heart, right? We do it because we love it. And so I encourage you to just be kind to yourself. Be as kind to yourself, your creative self, as you would be to someone else. If someone else made a mistake and hadn't written for a couple weeks or even months because their lives were nuts or they were feeling depressed or they weren't well, or whatever, you wouldn't beat up on that person, right? I hope not. So I'm asking you to not beat up on yourself. So maybe things you can do are, maybe you need more exercise. That gets your creativity going. Spending time in nature, especially now if you're on lockdown. I don't know where you are. I'm immunocompromised because I'm a cancer survivor. And so, or I assume I could be immunocompromised. And so I'm pretty much in. And that can be taxing. And a lot of people I know are pretty much staying in because of age and health issues. So that can be taxing. You may not feel like creating if that's your situation. Or again, in the States, if you've lost your job, we've got a terrible unemployment problem here at the moment. There's many reasons for you to be stressed. And so maybe that's why you're not doing what you think you should be. And so I'm just, again, going to ask you to be kind to yourself, as kind as you would be to someone else, and do what you can do, and create a schedule for yourself and do your very best to follow it. And if sometimes you can't, it's okay. Do something else creative. Read, study other writers if you can't get it together to write right now. Toni Morrison, the great Toni Morrison, has said that she doesn't believe that there's such a thing as writer's block, which goes along with shame and guilt, right? You feel guilty if you're blocked. But I think the guilt and shame also causes the block. I think it's kind of circular. But she didn't believe in blocks, and said that the writing is just not ready to come out. And so I encourage you to be mindful of your rhythms, the time when you read and the time when you jot notes, and play and journal and investigate. And then the time when it's ready to start coming out. And then maybe you need to back away from a minute. And then rather than this relentless pushing forward, again, I'm a believer in schedules, of scheduling your writing in every week. I'm not saying just, go with the flow. I'm not saying that. It's good to have scheduling in. It keeps us on track. But but there's a dance to do. There's a balance between that having a schedule, but beating ourselves up about it when we don't keep to it as much as we think we should be. So I hope that's somewhat helpful. Look at your reasons for not doing what you think you should be doing. Maybe you're expecting too much. Maybe change your expectations. Maybe take a walk. Maybe watch a good film. Maybe read a book. Maybe be kind to yourself. Maybe start a different project. Do something else for a minute, so that you're not beating yourself up, because boy, it's awful. And that only hurts your creative output. It just makes you miserable, and it's not fair. Don't do that to yourself. Okay, so that's why I hope a tiny bit of wisdom in there for you to be kind to yourself. And if you're interested, I have a Facebook page. You may be seeing this there. But I also have a newsletter on Wednesdays. It's very short, usually. It's quite short, called Something to Consider. And that's, one of the things to consider was don't compare. So if you're interested in reading those, some will resonate with you, some won't, but they're short. It's not a big investment in time. They're a couple minutes read. And you can just go to my website. I am Pam Sorellis of Winged Horse Writing Studio, and my website is wingedhorsewritingstudio.com. And when you go, after about 15 seconds, there's a pop-up that you can sign up for something to consider if you're interested. That would be awesome. Or if you have comments, you can make them below. You can contact me through my website or through Facebook. So I'd love to speak with as many of you as possible. I love talking to writers. So happy writing, be kind to yourself, and I'll see you next time.